so the sailing skill has been out for a couple of days now, and we're learning new things about it every single day. So I thought it'd be useful to make a video detailing some of the interesting things I think people should know about sailing. Tips, tricks, ways to improve your experience, at least as far as we know, not even a week until the skill's release. Now, for those who like shipwreck salvaging, you'll find out pretty fast that sorting through it at a dock is very inconvenient. Most of the loot you don't really want, so going all the way back isn't really worth it. But luckily, at level 42 sailing, you can unlock the ability to create a salvaging station on your boat. Now you'll notice though, if you go to build it, it actually requires a schematic. Now to get the schematic, it's pretty simple. You'll come over here to the Pandemonium, dig on this tile just by the Pandemonium cave. This will give you a key. You sail with the key to the Chinchampa Island, which is just on the southeast of the Tithe Farm in Zea. Once you're here, you can unlock the chest, giving you this schematic. Now you can sort your salvage, drop it on the boat, much better. Now something that is very handy to unlock in the early game is actually the Whirlpool Surprise beer. Now you can get this actually quite early on at 30 sailing, and all you will need to get it is access to the first Barracuda trial, the Temper Tantrum. Now once you've completed the second one, the Shark Route, you can talk to Rum-Ralph and ask if there's any rewards, and he'll give you 2 of these Whirlpool Surprises. But the important part is these will now be stocked in the Pandemonium bar, so you have unlimited access to it, and this will also let you build a keg on your boat. If you add 25 of the beers to your keg, it turns into an unlimited source. Now a +3 boost, especially this early, is actually very handy in sailing. Now this is because you can actually boost to build higher tier facilities on your boat, similar to construction. Primarily, you want to use this to build higher tier core parts. This is because the core parts retain their benefit even when your boost goes away. So upgrades such as your hull, your helm, mast, things like that, you'll get the benefit when the boost runs out. However, the other facilities are not the same. A salvaging hook you can boost to build one, and is operational while you have the boosted level. However, as soon as you fall below, you will stop salvaging. The cannon doesn't work at all. Don't boost to build your cannon, it just strictly does not work. It's actually just unusable then, a waste of space. Now, one thing you'll notice is that while shipwreck salvaging is pretty AFK, they do move around a fair bit, although I think they're going to be fixing that. However, one thing you can do to greatly increase the AFK time for this activity is simply to place yourself in between 2 of the shipwrecks. For example, here we're at pirate shipwrecks. There's only a couple around here, so we have a salvaging hook on either side of our boat, and if it moves between these 2, we can reach it. Also, we have the crew members working the other salvaging hook. You might as well because they simply just increase your XP rate. These guys work for free. However, what crewmate you want on the salvaging hook actually does matter. Now this is because you get a reduced amount of experience for a crewmate salvaging for you, but the amount of experience you get is based on their deck handiness. A level 1 deck handiness gives you 40% salvaging experience, and it scales all the way up to 70% with deck handiness of 4. So this means that ideally you want Cabin Boy Jenkins or alternatively Jobless Jim on the salvaging hook. Now for whatever reason both of the shipwrecks near you get depleted, I simply just hop worlds. It's kind of annoying moving the boat around, so I'd rather just hop worlds, carry on. I find it much easier. Now that kind of leads me nicely into talking about your crew or crew management. Starting at level 40 sailing, you can hire your first crewmate, and you can get all the way up to 5 crewmates at a time at 95 sailing. Now the crewmates provide a variety of different bonuses, and the higher tier ones aren't necessarily more useful than the lower tier ones. Now there are 3 stats for all of the crewmates: helmsmanship, privateering, and deck handiness. Now we start with deck handiness because we already talked about it a little bit. This determines the salvaging experience you get, as well as how many crates they will carry for you when you're doing port tasks. If they have deck handiness 1 or 2, they will carry 1 crate at a time, 3 or higher, and they will carry 2 at a time. So if you're doing courier missions, you probably want Jobless Jim, Cabin Boy Jenkins, or Ex-Captain Siad. Privateering is mostly centered around the cannon. Each cannon level does have a privateering requirement to use, but you'll unlock the 2 best crewmates for operating the cannon at around level 70. Keep in mind the cannons do significantly reduce damage when your crewmates operate them. And helmsmanship is simply just how much experience you get from your crewmates trimming the sail for you, scaling from 40% up to 70%. Another thing worth noting about the crewmates is you can actually boost to claim one. For example, we just boosted to get Jittery Jim a few levels before we actually had the requirement for it. They will join your boat, no issue, it's just a full unlock. Now when you're sailing around Gielinor and you trim your sail, you'll get an experience boost. Now that XP boost is not random, it doesn't scale with your sailing level. What actually affects that is the mast and sail that you have built, which means it's actually really important to upgrade that early because it actually increases your experience. Each time you trim your sail, each time you release a wind mote as well, that experience is increased based on your sail. Now carrying on with some other boat upgrades, there are so many things that you can upgrade about your boat, but another really important one is the hull. The hull is important because it actually affects your boat's speed, which is really helpful for getting around the oceans faster and for doing the Barracuda trials more consistently. Now each hull upgrade is stronger than the last. However, if you are strictly wanting to just go faster, you can actually skip some of the upgrades, and this becomes more tempting once you get to the sloop, because the sloop requires a lot of planks and is actually pretty expensive. So for example, the teak hull is just as fast as a mahogany hull. So if you only want to do Barracuda trials, for example, you don't actually need the extra HP that the mahogany upgrade would give. Same thing with camphor and ironwood as well. Exact same speed, the upgrade will only get you more HP on your boat. Useful for combat, not useful for going faster or doing Barracuda trials. Now one thing you might have noticed if you happen to get stuck somewhere or you teleported out and left your boat in the middle of nowhere is that you can rescue your boat anytime to any of the shipwrights in Gielinor. Now shipwright is not at every single dock, but they are at a lot of them, and rescuing your boat essentially teleports it to the dock that you're at. You can also do this more officially once you get level 55 sailing and build a teleport focus. Now rescuing your boat and teleporting it is useful just for getting it to a convenient location, but you can kind of take advantage of this to greatly improve the courier tasks. Now, no, you can't just simply teleport your boat to exactly where you want to go because any cargo in your cargo hold will get deleted. But one thing you'll notice with the courier missions is the ones that require you to go somewhere and bring something back to your original destination give double the experience, which means that you can grab one of those tasks, teleport to the other location or somewhere nearby, grab the cargo and bring it back, saving you half the journey. You can also string together multiple courier tasks via this teleport, which makes these port tasks actually a pretty solid option for mid-game sailing experience. Now, whenever you're upgrading your boat, one thing you'll notice is in the shipyard there is no bank. This is kind of inconvenient, but if you go to Port Gazard, there's a bank incredibly close to the shipwright, which makes upgrading your boat much less annoying. You can teleport there in the Lunar Spellbook or just buy the tele tabs, it's worth it. And when you get a boat, you are randomly assigned a name. Now some people didn't like their name for some reason, but there wasn't an easy way to change it without getting a new boat. However, there is actually a way to rename your boat at 61 sailing. If you sail over to the Tier of the Soul, there's an NPC there called Sleeve McDeagle, which can rename your boat for you for only one cider. And besides the Whirlpool Surprise, there are other brews that you can unlock that give a variety of different rewards. Now besides the Whirlpool Surprise, the rest of them are unlocked by charting different seas around Gielinor. Now the seas are the small completable areas, it's not individual charts. They unfortunately did fix that, which requires starting with 5 seas, going all the way up to 70, which is every single one of them. Now if you chart 5 different seas, you can unlock the Kraken Inky Stout, which increases your ocean encounters by 4%. The Peril Dance Bitter requires 8 seas and will increase your cannon's damage by 1, actually quite nice considering the damage is so clamped down. The Trawler's Trust requires 50 seas and will give you an extra 5% chance to catch a fish deep sea trawling. And finally the Horizon's Lure, which requires 70 seas, which is actually all of them, will boost your sailing XP by 2.5%. And because this requires every single chartable location, it has an indirect requirement of 78 sailing to get access to all the charting locations. Quite a daunting task, but all these can be stored in the keg to give it a bonus. Now, probably the most broken facility in the sailing skill right now is the crystal extractor. You can build this at 73 sailing once you've completed the shark rank at the Gwyneth Glide. Now, the crystal extractor will slowly generate a wind mote every 60 seconds, and when you harvest it, you get 600 sailing XP. So 600 XP a minute is over 30k XP per hour, completely passively. You can use this during any activity, salvaging, Barracuda trials, port tasks, whatever you want. It's just free experience. And you actually get crystal shards as well, which is kind of interesting. Now, where you build this is actually pretty important. Unless you want this for salvaging, you want to build the crystal extractor in the facility hotspot directly in front of your helm. This will allow you to activate it while you're driving your boat, which is the most important. However, specifically if you want it for salvaging, you may want to make it adjacent to your actual hook. Now, one thing I think people are going to take advantage of once the main sailing hype kind of dies down is multi-skilling on your boat. There's a surprising amount of things you can do without interrupting your sailing training, especially if you're doing port tasks. You're literally just hands-off keyboard sailing in a direction. Perfect for alking, fletching training, any zero time activity. Very simple to do. You can even bury bones without interrupting your boat movement. Anyway guys, that's all the tips I have for now. Sailing's only been out for a few days. We'll maybe make an updated video once we learn more about the skill. That's all I got for you today though. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you next time.